Question 6, please. Sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Video games and esports are rapidly growing industries. They generated over US $140 billion globally in 2018, of which almost half was from the Asia-Pacific region. In Singapore, the development and distribution of video games contributed Singapore $1.95 billion in 2017. This includes activities by foreign companies with operations in Singapore, such as Ubisoft and Bandai Namco, as well as local firms such as Sea and Go Game. On the community engagement front, events such as esports tournaments have also been organized in the heartlands to bring our youth together. An example is the Yo Game On event that was organized at Yio Chu Kang CC in May this year, which was well received. Government agencies have been supporting local startups and companies in this space. Sea, formerly known as Garena, is one of Singapore's unicorn, and it first made its mark through its platform for video games. The game industry has also catalyzed the growth of other companies in the ecosystem, such as Razer and Secret Lab, which are globally prominent lifestyle brands amongst gamers today. We are building on such successes through several approaches. First, we are helping our companies to grow. Launched in 2017, the Startup SG initiative provides local companies a range of financial and non-financial support, such as mentorship and startup capital through the Startup SG Founder Program. In addition, companies can leverage sector-specific initiatives such as the Infocom Media Development Authority Pixel Innovation Space, which offers incubation and co-working spaces for digital startups so that they can develop their projects with the right technical and business support. Second, we are deepening capabilities. We are building a robust talent pipeline in the video games industry. Local game schools such as DigiPen Institute and Nanyang Polytechnic offer courses for aspiring game designers and artists to develop their skills. IMDA also works with the EDB to attract internationally acclaimed studios, providing a platform for our entrepreneurs to gain valuable experience before starting their own studios. Third, we are building a vibrant and enabling ecosystem. For example, game engine company Unity Technologies have been supporting gaming startups at Pixel with mentorship, workshops and technical support since 2018. This ecosystem has supported companies like Better Brew Productions, founded by a DigiPen graduate and whose first mobile game IP won the Visitor's Choice Award at the GameStart Asia 2018 convention. Finally, we are building international mindshare. During our ASEAN chairmanship last year, the first ASEAN Esport and Music Festival, Hyperplay, was held in Singapore. The event was well attended by over 8,000 youths of different backgrounds and featured the first League of Legends ASEAN tournament. Singapore will also host the first Asian edition of Gamescom in 2020. Gamescom is the world's largest video games industry event and business platform. The Singapore edition will also let our video games companies showcase their capabilities and connect with prospective investors, collaborators, and buyers. STB will continue to be on the lookout for other major events which can be hosted in Singapore to further augment our position as a video games and esports hub in the region.
Mr. Leon Pereira.
I thank the Minister for his reply. Just a few supplementary questions in relation to electronic game development and esports. So firstly, I understand that there are graduate courses, there are diploma courses such as DigiPen, as the Minister mentioned. What avenues and platforms are available for Singaporeans to get postgraduate training? Because I think in order to develop sophisticated and successful games, postgraduate training in the necessary skills should be available. I know some big multinational companies do provide training. I believe that in general this training is provided to their own employees and it's not open sourced and available to everyone. So what are the avenues that are available for postgraduate training? Secondly, does IMDA or other government agencies still provide startup grants to electronic game development startups or esports startups in Singapore? And if so, what has been the trend in the grants given and what has been the success associated with that? And thirdly, and lastly, is support given to game developers to market their own games directly to customers independently of a publisher? So I ask this because a game development company can go through a publisher in order to market their game, and the publisher then takes a large part of the margin, and that is value that otherwise the game development company could capture. So is support given to game development companies, and if necessary grants, are they given without requiring them to be allied to a publisher, to be endorsed by a publisher, to work with a publisher, but instead just encourage them to actually market their games directly to customers through platforms like Steam or App Store or so on, and therefore capture a lot more value and therefore become more financially self-sustaining? Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me respond to the three questions in more generic terms of how we spend money and when we spend money. First, on the issue of postgraduate training. First, I think whether we start any postgraduate course, whether e-sports or any other thing, depends on the demand for the course, demands on the curriculum. In today's world, I think the mental model of just going for postgrad course is a bit passé. In many of these areas that are fast evolving, the best training is not in a postgrad course. The best training and the best experience exposure is actually with the leading edge companies. So while postgrad courses are important, we will continue to monitor it as to whether we need to start a postgrad course and have the critical mass to do so, and if there's a market demand to do so. I think at this point in time, it is still early days. But what we should really do is to make sure that our aspiring esports gamers or designers, developers have the best opportunities to work with the best around the world. So getting them into companies to have the necessary exposure is important. Second, and to your second and third questions are related to how should the government spend grants, and who do we give the grants to, and should we interfere in the commercial arrangements between developers and some of these gaming houses. In general, I would state this: we are using public money. We are not in the business of choosing winners and losers, and that is not the way we develop our industries. Any business, any entrepreneurs who wants to start up a new business can obviously get various forms of help from the government, but it will be not the appropriate role for the government to pick and say that this is better done and another thing. In fact, actually the best test of where to apply the funds will certainly be the markets. A good idea will always have opportunities with the VCs, the venture capitalists and so forth. Whenever we spend government money, which is actually public's money, then we have to be very careful and ask ourselves this question: where is the market failure that we are trying to address? The government agencies and the taxpayers' money should not be used to displace the market mechanism of the general workings of the market. So anybody, be it in this particular sector or any other sector, if they would like to get help from the economic agencies, there's always ability. They can always contact Enterprise Singapore. They can always look at the various schemes that the government have to help our companies to grow. As to your third questions, I think that is best left to the commercial arrangements. It is not possible, and neither do I think it's right, for the government to intervene in the commercial arrangements between different companies and different games developers. I understand where you are coming from, but I think there is a market mechanism that can work, and I will be very careful to intervene to disrupt or displace the market mechanism.
Ms. Anthea.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Minister, as you were sharing about how we're developing the esports market, It's very exciting, but I can't help but also worry about the announcement that WHO made last year that has classified gaming disorder as a disease. And I'm just wondering, just like the way we were developing the casinos, what are we doing here in terms of combating gaming disorders and addiction as we, alongside, develop this esports area? Thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with any new technology, any new games, there are obviously, as Member Ms. Anthea Ong said, that it comes with associated dangers, and there will always be a certain, but small proportion that might get addicted to such things. So this is where MSF, together with the National Addictions Management Service, or what we call NAMS, is working closely to monitor this issue. It's not exactly the same as the esports that we are talking about. We are talking about another part of the spectrum, which of course we are of concern if there are such things. And there are help channels available. We are also working with the schools to make sure that people who get involved in electronic games are properly guided and they maintain a certain sense of discipline so they don't get into the trouble at all. And like many of this addiction, I think the best thing for us is to invest our resources in prevention rather than just post-issues management.